It's a relaxing Sunday morning as I record today's monologue, and I'm back from a talk yesterday that I was giving and another chap was giving, and it was very interesting, very entertaining. And there was a few things that this other chap was talking about which I want to pick up on because I thought he had some very relevant points. It's things that, of course, resounded with me, and I have been talking about this sort of thing in my videos. His name is Dear Danny, and I guess he must be in his 40s, something like that, and he's a Cockney Londoner who now lives in Spain on the mountain in a yurt with his two young girls and his son and his wife, off-grid. You may have heard of him. Dear Danny is his name. He has an Instagram account, I know for sure, and a podcast. And maybe we'll hook up and we'll interview him and he'll interview me and all of that kind of thing, which will be great. Anyway, the point of this is he was talking about very much a similar thing that Alan Watts, if you know the philosopher Alan Watts from the 1960s and 70s, was talking about. And that is how we all are conditioned, aren't we, from birth, from the beginning. We're all conditioned to conform, to carry on doing what everybody else does, to be easily controlled that way by going to school and then going to university and getting a job and following what we're told, always what we're told. And this has been going on, of course, for a long time, and particularly the use of the wireless, radio, and then television, and more so with its adverts now and the media. And of course, we have the internet and social media, and everyone's telling you how you should live, what you should think, what you should do, the way you should conform as everybody else. And of course, acts and statutes are very much part of that, what you can do, what you can't do. Oh, you mustn't do this, keep off the grass, don't walk on the cracks, you know, stay on the left, don't drive in a bus lane, all this sort of thing. And we so easily conform to all of this, and we acquiesce, don't we? Oh, blimey. Then there's the knock at the door and someone says, oh, you didn't pay. I'm here to collect the money. I have the authority. I'm part of the system. You must obey. A bit like the Daleks. You must obey or you'll be exterminated. And we live in that fear that if we don't do as we are told, seeing as we were taught that at school, putting your hand up to see if you can actually go and empty your bladder, an act of nature, you need permission. We need permission for everything. And it was very enlightening listening to Danny as he was talking and reminding us of this nonsense world that we've allowed ourselves to grow into and be part of, where everybody must conform and do as they're told. And then he went on about but we are unique. We may all be part of the same universe. We may all be one, if you like, eternal beings that will never die, part of a great awakening, part of a great knowledge, part of the universe, as I say. And yet our iteration, our little version of that, is exploring itself, or trying to understand that we are in fact creative beings, that we are living in a very unique existence. Although we're all the same and we can love one another and ought to recognise that each other are part and parcel of the same creation, we're part of this world, that there is no difference really in many of us or any of us. Perhaps the colour of our skin is slightly different, perhaps we're shorter or taller, or perhaps our sexual preferences are a little different, but ultimately we are the same. We're not animals, we're not cats and dogs and elephants and giraffes, we are human beings. But each version of us is shining differently, expressing the universe's will to explore a different way of perceiving life. And yet somehow we've had that creative element, that unique ability to shine as an individual knocked out of us, and that we're always constantly trying to be like everybody else. You know, there's the hype of, you must see this film. Oh, right, yes, I must obey and go and see this film. I must live in a certain way. I mean, look at my kitchen. My kitchen is not the type of kitchen you see in the adverts when they tell you, oh, you must live in this stylish thing. You mustn't have clutter. Everything must be put away in boxes. You shouldn't see anything. My kitchen is very old-fashioned, cheap and cheerful, rural, because that's the way I want to live. It's the way I like to present myself, or the way I enjoy having my life. And the same with how I dress. It's my own expression of myself. And we should find what it is in ourselves, what it is, that spirit within, trying to express itself rather than conform to the way that we're being told by the mainstream narrative, the way that we're instructed to think, the opinions that we're supposed to have. I have lots of opinions, as you know, and sometimes people will disagree with my opinions, and of course they're absolutely welcome to disagree, because we should all have our own opinions. Sometimes there's a consensus, sometimes we agree with one another, which is wonderful, and many times we don't. But we don't have to be rude about it. We can, of course, disagree and say, well, I understand where you're coming from, but I think this way, which is fantastic. That's what the universe, that's what our spiritual interior is trying to do. It is expressing itself uniquely, and we need to do more of that. And so listening to Danny and thinking about this on the way home, and then at night time, and then this morning, thinking, yes, what can I say to add to that? And it is really just to reiterate that we need to find in ourselves those unique things about our lives, and show the world, if you like, that we don't necessarily have to conform. Of course, there's certain things that is advisable to conform in: do no harm, cause no loss, cause no damage, the universal law, a law of existence where we are trying to help one another and those sort of things. But outside of that, there are many things that we can do to be individual, to enjoy ourselves, to be merry, to sing and dance and have fun, and not feel that we've got to be continuously serious and wear drab clothes, or wear the clothes that the big companies make. How many of you go to second-hand shops and find different types of clothes to wear and mix and match and not follow fashion? How many of you are blessed to be able to make your own clothes, design the way that you look, change your house up which you want? When I was growing up in the 60s and 70s, I was aware that lots of people had hobbies. Television was not the big thing. It was there, but it wasn't the big thing. People didn't have these massive, great big screens. And back then, of course, only the father used to go to work, and mum was very much at home. And my mum used to make things, and she would do things with us. We would make ginger beer, for example. We would play over in the fields in the farm. We would make camps. We would buy things from jumble sales and go and have fun. We felt a lot freer. We weren't being scrutinised. We weren't being surveilled by all the cameras. We didn't feel intimidated when we went into shops. Yes, we had a natural respect for the police, which many people don't have anymore, but then I think that's because the police themselves have lost that respect, seeing as they've become a business and they're there just to extract as much money out of each of us, just as the councils do, the businesses that seem to think that we are their cash cows. But now, looking back, all of that from the 1960s, the 70s, that freedom is still within me, that idea that I want to express myself in my own unique and humble way, whether that be taking up the pipe in my 60s and thinking, do you know what, I enjoy that somewhat extravagant, exaggerated, eccentric, some people have said about me. But I don't care. And I think we should all find that little eccentricity in us, express ourselves the way we want rather than the way they want. They want us to all be the same sort of neutral identity that can be, at the end of the day, classed as a number. We're not a number. We're not even a name. We are an individual spirit expressing ourselves in this world, enjoying, thriving, dancing, singing, all those things. That's what we should be doing. And sometimes it's easy to forget with the pressures of life and having to earn a living and having to pay the bills and feeling that we are having to do all this duty. And that's why, in many ways, we've acquiesced the responsibility and let other people make the decisions for us. We need to take that back, be the unique characters that we are, decide on how we want to live, whether that is off-grid, growing your own plants, living a wholesome, organic life, doing your own thing, instead of working for these big corporations in which you are just a number, just an employee. I'm not an employee of the UK corporation. I'm an individual, thriving, doing my own thing. And I dare say that you, wonderful people who watch my stuff, may well be wishing to do the same. And I urge you on. Be an individual, even if it's only one day a week. Do something daring. Change the way you live. Have fun with it and enjoy life. Thank you very much for watching. I shall now go back and smoke my pipe.